Hey guys, and welcome back to another video plus a little mini series where whenever I read something that is like very impacting and like something that I read at night or during the day, like whenever I'm on the Bible app or something like faith-based related, I'm gonna call this thing where I'm like what I learned from reading. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a little bit what I've learned from this study guide that my church is going through called Crazy Faith. So I'm kind of about a week behind, but that is okay. I'm going at my own pace. I'm not a part of a group or anything. I'm going to try to keep these videos short, but knowing me and everything that I talk about, it's probably pretty long. So it talks about an introduction and how we study. So in the introduction, I'm going to read something that the introduction is talking about how NASA is developing a telescope and all of that. And in the second to final passage in the introduction, it talks about, but of course, it did not happen overnight. There were not the product of anyone's spontaneous idea. Rather, scientists took baby steps and set small goals to reach their large, crazy goal. They didn't always have the information they needed. So what I wrote for about like baby steps and small goals is, when we start out in our walk with Christ, we must take small steps and set small goals. Small goals. After doing that, one day we will be able to reach our large goal. And then for the information part, I said, when we first start in our walk, we don't know all the information about our faith and all of that. So that is something that I learned from like the introduction. And then I flipped the page and then we read, oops, this is kind of chaotic, but we're not even in like the first, oh yeah, we're in the first study, which is baby faith, maybe faith. So then I flip it and then we go to Hebrews 11, 1 through 3, where it says, now faith is confident in what we hoped for and sure about what we do not see. This is what the ancestors were commanded for. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command. So what is seen was not made out to what was visible. And what I said is knowing that the universe was not something that was there waiting for something to happen, because most people think the universe existed, but really it goes back to Genesis 1:1 and all of that, and it talks about how God created everything, and that kind of gave me reassurance. And I never really truly like read Hebrews, but that little information, like, I want to find it. Where's Hebrews? Oh, Hebrews. And then I wrote notes because I'm using my study Bible. Like, it gave me some information about, like, verse 1 talks about by faith. The biblical faith is not trusting, not blind trust. But it goes on to biblical faith is confident and trust in the encounter of God. So we're not going into something with blind trust. We're going into something knowing that we have somebody who we can trust, who will help us, and all of that. It talks about God created the universe, the world, so that we see what was not made out, the things that are visible. So all of that. And then I flipped to the next part of like that study, and it says the idea that God created the visible universe out of some kind of invisible, not visible matter is not the author's mind. Rather, he is saying that God did not make the universe out of any perplexing matter as human know it, which is close to saying that made it out of nothing. So that was that. And then like it talks about like, so that was Hebrews 1. And then like the video, which I don't think I'm gonna do. And then it talks about like, then we go to Ephesians 1, Ephesians 3. I'm trying to do this. So Ephesians 3 was talking about like the subject ahead of the passage is prayer for spiritual strength, which for me I highlighted. And then it talks about like the spiritual, Christ may dwell in the heart through faith, that being rooted and grounded in love. And that kind of really stuck out to me is because in therapy right now I'm learning how to use tools to ground myself to help with my anxiety. So that was really reassuring and all of that. And then in verse 16, that was verse 16. And then in the note section is Spirit. The Holy Spirit applies to believers the personal presence and power of God, inner being or inner man, referring to the one's inner self as a human being. So that was really good. And then for my notes is for there was a question, and I decided to write my notes down. And I said, having faith in God is a way to ground you and bring you back to reality, is because that really is something that is true, because I really just think in my mind, I get into my head and all of that. And then how would you summarize baby faith? Is like, how would you summarize baby faith? What are some baby steps of your faith that you've taken in the past few months? Is, I said, being more confident to pray in public. I've always been a private prayer, but now being in my church, I'm like volunteering to pray for people and all of that. So that's a huge baby step in my faith. And then how would you summarize maybe faith? Scared to put everything into something that is still very new to me. There are still some moments where I'm not 100% ready to put everything into God. And then there was Genesis, and there was another passage, but I did not want to know. So that is like the first part of the study. And then I'm like, oh, you have a personal study. And I'm like, I'm not doing that today. So that's what I've learned so far, and thank you for watching this. I really like this because there is so much sometimes where I want to share where I'm like, I don't need to make this like a designated YouTube video to relate it in, because like, or like wait to when I get to that book and do the book series. No, I want to talk about stuff that I learn now and all of that. So it's just a little something that I think is going to be fun for me, and just kind of document like where I am in my faith. I want to be more real with you guys, so this is kind of more like a real moment in my faith walk and being completely blunt and honest, which I think is cool, because I feel like some Christians, and here I am rambling, some Christians don't like be real enough, I feel like, with their faith. So I want to be more real with you guys, and that's my goal for 2023. Thanks for watching.